He didn't even wait for me to sit down. I'd barely stepped into the conference room when Jackson Rourke, shiny teeth, tighter suit, all ego, tossed the pink slip across the table like a damn playing card. It slid right up to my hand. Everyone around the table froze, phones dropped, coffee cups stopped midair. No one breathed. Kevin, Jackson said, pacing in front of the big screen like he was hosting some flashy tech launch. We've appreciated your service, but frankly, we need fresh energy, not outdated logistics. My throat clenched, but I didn't say a word. 22 years. That's how long I gave Keller Imports. Showed up early, stayed late, flew through blizzards and sandstorms for this place. Now this smug 20-something punk was standing over me, tossing me out like a broken printer. Past your prime, he added with a smirk. We're pivoting to modern infrastructure. Beside him stood Chloe. High heels, fake smile, holding a ring light, and already live streaming to her followers. Hey guys, big announcement coming! She chirped into her phone like this was a party and not a damn execution. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? Jackson gestured toward her like he was presenting a trophy. This is Chloe Madsen, our new creative strategist. She'll be leading digital logistics engagement. She's built an incredible lifestyle brand, and now she's bringing that momentum to Keller. I looked around. No one made eye contact. Not Jen from Ops, not Marcos from the floor. Even Alan, who I trained myself, stared at the table like I was already dead. Cowards. Out with the old, Jackson said, clapping once like it was some punchline. In with the now. A photographer popped out from the corner, some PR intern, snapping a staged photo of Chloe holding up a branded mug. Jackson grinned wide behind her. I stood there, pink slip in hand, while they laughed and posed like this was a magazine shoot. No handshake, no thank you, no dignity. I walked out, slow and steady, gripping the slip so tight my knuckles cracked. I didn't turn back. I didn't let them see me break, but I felt every stare, felt the silence press down on me. They looked at me like I was contagious, like if they even nodded at me, they'd be next. No one said a word, not one. I hit the stairwell and kept walking. I didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling, too wired to think straight. Around 5 a.m., I rolled out of bed, still in yesterday's clothes, and fired up my laptop. Company intranet. Login failed. Tried again. Same thing. I used to have full access admin clearance. I built half the back end they still run on. Now I couldn't even get past the splash page. So I opened a private browser, hit Keller Imports' public website. My photo, gone. My name, scrubbed. Even the contact directory listed someone else as lead for global logistics. Chloe Madsen, creative strategist. Below it, a smiling picture of her holding a shipping box like it was a damn purse. She was everywhere. Homepage banner, email blast, internal blog. The words "Voice of the New Market" were printed across her intro paragraph like a tagline for a shampoo ad, all written in that fake relatable tone. Hey friends, I'm so excited to bring energy and clarity to logistics. Energy and clarity? She didn't even know the difference between LCL and FCL freight 2 weeks ago. Then I made the mistake of clicking one of her videos. She strutted through the flagship showroom like it was a set for a TikTok dance. So this space, she said, flipping her blonde ponytail over one shoulder, is where we're reimagining logistics as lifestyle. I paused the video and dragged the playhead forward. And that's when I saw it. Behind her, barely in focus, was a wall-sized schematic I drew last year. It was mine. Every node, every lane. The intermodal priority matrix I developed for Southeast Asia routes, the same one that cut fulfillment costs by 18% in Q3. It wasn't public. Never uploaded, never pitched in any slideshow. That document lived in the private archive I kept for team leads only. Password locked, version controlled. And now it was a damn background prop for her social feed. I blinked, rewound, paused again. No doubt about it. That was my signature at the bottom. Chloe had posted my proprietary design like it was a piece of wall art. No credit, no context, nothing. My stomach nodded. She shouldn't even have had access to that system. When I left, my credentials were wiped. Hers weren't even registered in our document chain. She was brand new. They didn't onboard her through my department. I would have known. So how the hell was she in the archive? I grabbed my old notepad and pen, jotted down the file tag and timestamp on the video. Then I opened an old backup drive I kept from my last workstation. I never trusted the new IT team after the merger. I always made local copies of everything I built. Stripped of proprietary metadata, sure, but enough to verify if something got stolen. I compared the shapes, the distribution grid, the toggled rail line routes from Shenzhen to Memphis. Match for match. Chloe hadn't just posted a screenshot, she posted an internal, unreleased version. My work, repackaged as background ambiance for her followers. That was the part that really got under my skin. The casualness of it. Like the years I spent freezing my ass off on loading docks didn't mean a thing. Like systems were just aesthetics now. I clicked through more of her content, warehouse walkthroughs with dramatic zooms, hashtag-heavy captions about reinventing process culture. In one clip, she waved her hand toward a wall of modular container schematics and said, "We're simplifying complexity, one line at a time." She didn't even know what the lines meant. I backed out and pulled up the video's source data. There was no watermark, no internal disclaimer, nothing to stop someone from stealing the design and calling it their own. That wasn't an accident. Someone gave her access, someone with clearance. And if she had access to that, what else did she have? I opened my email drafts and started listing every restricted design I remembered uploading in the last 12 months. I cross-referenced file names, pulled cached metadata from my drive, checked access logs from my final week, then I stopped. Her post went live at 2:14 p.m. yesterday. I was in the room with Jackson at 2:11, being fired. 3 minutes later, she was broadcasting from my showroom with a schematic I'd never authorized for display. This wasn't some slow takeover. This was planned. I leaned back, my spine tight against the chair, heart pounding like a kick drum. They didn't just replace me, they erased me. And she didn't even wait until I cleared the building. I sat there for what had to be 20 minutes, staring at the frozen frame of Chloe's smug face mid-sentence. The schematic still hung behind her like wallpaper. My schematic. I finally shut the laptop, pushed it aside, and reached down to the bottom drawer of my old filing cabinet. The spiral notebook was still there. Green cover, bent corner, half a shipping label stuck to the back from a trip to Tacoma. I used to carry that thing on every port inspection, every overnight warehouse audit. Notes, numbers, backdoor access codes. But it was what I wrote now that mattered. 3 words, right at the top of a blank page. He doesn't know, because he didn't. Jackson Rourke might have climbed into that corner office on style points and buzzwords, but he had no clue what the hell he was sitting on. He didn't know that when my old boss, Grant Weatherby, retired, he left behind a built-in safety net for infrastructure continuity, not a document, a legal structure, the operations trust. 5 of us were on it, quietly written into the post-merger contract after Keller took on outside investors. We weren't board members or C-suite, we were the firewall. Any major supply chain revamp, logistics software, physical layout, warehouse closures, had to be reviewed and stamped by a majority of the trust. If not, the system didn't move, not legally, and Jackson, he didn't even ask. I pulled open another drawer and grabbed the manila folder I kept labeled Trust Docs. Grant had slipped it to me at his retirement dinner. No ceremony, no speech, just a pat on the shoulder and a whisper, "Don't let idiots burn down what we built." I flipped through the pages. There it was. Article 7, subsection B. All legacy logistics architecture protected under trust oversight. Alterations require full review and approval. They hadn't removed me. I would have gotten a notification. I was still on it. And now they were using my system, illegally, without authorization, and broadcasting it online like it was free stock footage. So I made a call. Not to legal, not to HR. They'd already sold me out. I texted Valerie Chang. She'd been in global ops longer than anyone, ran the Southeast routing desk before they turned it into a mobility lab. We'd worked side by side during the 2017 warehouse fire in Dayton. If anyone remembered what the trust meant, it was her. We met that afternoon at a diner just off I-80. No email trail, no calendar invites. She slid into the booth across from me, took one look at my face, and didn't even bother with hello. "You're not out," she said quietly. "You're still listed." They wiped my clearance. "Not from the trust." I leaned in. "You're sure?" She nodded. "I checked this morning. You're still active. Your key still links to system holdovers. They didn't touch the legacy protocols I swallowed hard." Then that schematic she posted violates Clause 7B. She never submitted for review. None of it was cleared. I stared at her, the noise of clinking silverware and sizzling grills fading into a buzz. Valerie dropped her voice. "Don't walk away, Kevin. You still have the override power that landed like a shot of adrenaline. I gripped the edge of the table, nodded once, and slid out of the booth. Enough sitting, enough watching. They thought I was gone, that I'd just pack my things, disappear, and let them butcher 22 years of work for some influencer stunt. But they didn't know the rules. They didn't even know the damn game. I did, and I wasn't done. Not even close. I didn't go back to bed. I drove straight home from that diner, dropped my keys on the counter, and went straight for the boxes in the hall closet. The living room floor disappeared under 2 decades of notebooks, binders, travel logs, every damn thing I'd ever saved from Keller. Some of it was dog-eared and water-stained from airport tarmacs and busted shipping crates. Some pages still smelled like diesel fuel and sweat. I pulled it all out. Every file meant something. One notebook had my notes from Beijing during that summer heat wave when customs nearly shut down our eastbound freight. Another had the handwritten itinerary from the Port of Long Beach the week we rerouted 6,000 containers after a union strike. There were photos of layouts I drew up in hotel rooms, emails I printed because I didn't trust the server, scanned signatures, receipts, contracts, all of it mine. I kept going. I found a copy of the freight rollout plan from 2014, with my initials scrawled in the margins. Then a packet from the infrastructure audit we did during Hurricane Harvey. They'd forgotten about all of this. But I hadn't. That's when I saw it. An old Christmas card from my mom stuck between 2 customs forms. Wish you were home. Just 1 year. Miss you always. Love, Mom. I held it for a second. The edges were worn soft. I missed that Christmas. The last one? She died in January. I didn't go to my niece's high school graduation either. Caught in a delay loop at JFK because a container manifest came through with the wrong weight. I skipped my dad's 70th birthday to fly to Buenos Aires for a warehouse inspection no one else wanted to do. While Jackson was snapping selfies at launch parties, I was standing in freezing ports at 3 in the damn morning, making sure the heat-sealed pallets were correct. I was the guy watching customs tear apart shipments line by line while some VP in a warm office played golf. I gave them everything, my time, my health, my family, and now I was watching Chloe livestream Logistics Insights like she'd earned it. I grabbed my laptop again, pulled up her latest video. Sometimes, she was saying, all smiles and filters. It's not about the numbers. It's about the feeling of process. The comments were blowing up. She's so visionary. This is the future. Love her mindset around transformation. I gripped the arm of the couch until my fingers went white. They didn't know. None of them did. But I did, and I was done watching. I clicked out and started organizing. Timeline logs, email backups, paper trail from everything I'd touched. I had more than just the trust clause now. I had history, I had documentation, I had proof this company didn't just overlook me. They hijacked what I built and handed it to someone who didn't know the damn difference between a port and a distribution center. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was ready. They thought this was over. It wasn't. I was halfway through sorting shipping logs by region when my old system pinged. A sharp, high-pitched alert I hadn't heard in years. Most people at Keller didn't even know it existed. But I did, because I built it. Unauthorized access design archive. I dropped everything, opened the encrypted interface, bypassed the old admin protocol, and pulled the raw access log. One entry, new, 10 minutes ago, not internal, not even domestic. Hotel IP address in Dubai, Fenton Global headquarters. My pulse jumped. I ran a trace on the IP. The origin was masked behind 2 proxy servers, but the last bounce? A hotel chain registered under Fenton's corporate travel account. No doubt now. This wasn't just some intern clicking the wrong folder. I clicked into the breach report and matched the file ID KLI-MTRX-S4-A12. My Southeast Asia intermodal matrix. The same schematic that showed up behind Chloe in her video. The same one that was never cleared for public access. I checked the timestamp on the breach. 12:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then I pulled up Chloe's latest post. Video went live at 12:18 p.m. EST. Same showroom, same wall, same goddamn schematic behind her. It lined up to the second. I froze the frame, zoomed in on the background. The digital file ID was faint in the lower right corner. I always embedded them in grayscale, just in case I ever had to prove authorship. There it was, my tag. kmiller/original/SEA matrix.v7. Someone accessed the system, yanked the file, and had it posted online all within 60 seconds. I leaned back in my chair, stared at the screen, and said it out loud this time. This isn't an accident. She didn't just stumble into the archive. Someone walked her through it, gave her access, coordinated it. I opened my local server backups and pulled every security log for the last 6 months. Then I opened a clean Excel sheet and started matching IPs to timestamps, one line at a time. By the third hour, I had a full list of breaches, 6 of them, all during influencer content pushes, all accessed remotely. 4 different hotels, 2 co-working spaces, all registered through travel groups tied to Fenton Global. They were bleeding me dry, one file at a time. I ran a metadata scan on the files Chloe posted in her last 5 videos. Each one had traces of internal system fingerprints, logs that should only exist in the Keller vault. I compared server file creation dates with Chloe's post history. The gaps were never more than 15 minutes, same pattern every time. Pull from archive, flash in video, cover it in filters and hashtags like no one would notice. But I noticed, and they were sloppy. One IP had logged in using an outdated employee key, my key, reactivated for exactly 1 hour, 2 days after I was fired, which meant someone with admin-level clearance had gone in, copied my credentials, and used them to access restricted files. I tagged it, dated it, saved a screenshot. Then I did what I always did, backed everything up. Server logs, access trails, IP traces, metadata captures, cross-reference timestamps. I built a full report, saved to a secure drive with a mirror backup in the cloud. This wasn't creative strategy. It wasn't a new voice or digital pivot or whatever the hell Jackson wanted to call it. This was theft, corporate espionage, and Fenton Global was the one holding the bag. I scrolled through Chloe's latest video again. "We're simplifying legacy systems," she was saying, twirling through my showroom like it was a runway. "Old logistics are rigid. We're building something flexible, intuitive." She had no idea what any of it meant, and that's what made it worse. They didn't just steal my work, they gave it to someone who thought logistics was just a vibe. I leaned forward, hands flat on the desk. It wasn't about pride anymore, or respect, or even the years they threw away when they fired me. This was a setup, and I was done being quiet. I didn't sleep again, just poured black coffee, sat at my desk, and kept pulling thread. I opened every one of Chloe's public profiles: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Her whole brand was a mess of buzzwords and pastel filters, but under all the glitter, there were patterns, partnerships, sponsorships, giveaways. First one I flagged was a logistics meets lifestyle collab with a startup beauty brand out of LA, Hydrate House. They sold toner in glass bottles with cork lids and claimed to be redefining product flow. Whatever the hell that meant. I dug into their press releases, 2 funding rounds, both led by a Shell LLC out of Miami. That company? Owned by another entity out of Cyprus. I followed the breadcrumb trail through 5 layers of corporate fog. Then I found it. Kinva Resources Limited, a direct subsidiary of Fenton Global. I sat back in my chair and let that sink in. This wasn't some harmless cross-branding gig. Fenton didn't just know who Chloe was. They were paying her, quietly, indirectly, through layers of financial noise. Just enough to stay hidden unless someone was looking real hard. Well, I was looking. And once I started, the dominoes fell fast. A giveaway campaign for modular product optimization, backed by an anonymous fund based in Zurich. Same investment group that tried to buy Keller's port software division last year. Denied, publicly. Now back through the side door. A podcast Chloe guest starred on, hosted by someone who used to be on Fenton's innovation board. The episode was titled, "Turning Logistics into a Love Language." I couldn't even make it through 5 minutes. Every deal, every fake-sounding brand, every vague strategy launch, it all tied back. Same timing, same funding sources. She wasn't just clueless, she was planted. A pipeline dressed in designer sneakers, smuggling out our systems while smiling for likes. Then my inbox dinged. Unknown sender, no subject. I hesitated, then clicked. No message body, just 4 attachments. Payment confirmations, redacted names, but the totals match Chloe's recent brand partnership amounts to the dollar. Shell companies aligned perfectly with the ones I'd traced. Same chain of cash, same shady routing. The 5th attachment was a PDF with 1 line typed in the center. "You're not crazy, don't stop." I leaned forward, scanned the email header. It came through the Trust Portal's legacy relay. That meant someone on the inside sent it, one of the 4 remaining trust members. They knew, maybe not all of it, but enough. Enough to know I wasn't just being bitter or paranoid. I was right. And Jackson? He wasn't just an idiot who handed over my role. He handed over the company's entire foundation, years of systems, data, confidential routing protocols, to someone funded by our biggest competitor. He gave Fenton Global the damn keys to our infrastructure. Because she smiled nice in front of a camera, I closed the laptop and stared at the wall for a second. Not in defeat, not this time. I just needed to breathe, let it all settle. Then I opened the file again, renamed it Proof 1, then started a new folder, breach_evidence. Because now I had motive. Now I had money trails. Now I had confirmation from inside the trust. This wasn't just a bad hire, it was a goddamn inside job. I didn't wait. As soon as that anonymous message came in, I called the meeting. Used the trust's internal scheduling portal, flagged it urgent, attached the entire dossier I'd built. Evidence, timelines, cross-referenced payments, IP addresses, everything. They had to see it now. There was no way they could ignore this. We met on video 2 hours later. 4 little squares popped up on screen. Faces I used to trust more than most family. Valerie, Ruben, Alice, and Goodman. Goodman spoke first, tone flat. Let's try to keep this short, Kevin. We know this is personal for you. I felt my jaw tighten. It's not personal. It's structural. It's theft. Ruben raised a hand. Kevin, no. You're gonna listen, I said. One of you already knows this is real. I've got data breaches tied to Chloe's content posts, timestamps that match server activity to external IPs. I've got payments from shell companies tied to Fenton Global showing up in her sponsorships. This isn't branding, it's a leak. Alice leaned forward, squinting at the screen. You're saying she's corporate espionage? I nodded once. Yes. And Jackson walked her in the front door and gave her access to our back end. Goodman rolled his eyes. You're not in operations anymore. This feels like revenge. That word hit like a slap. I almost laughed. Revenge, I said. Revenge is telling the board what you all let happen on your watch. What I have here? This is damage control. Valerie was the only one who didn't speak, just watched, lips pressed into a flat line. I walked them through it, one file at a time. The breach logs, the payment trails, the companies tied to Chloe's name, the design schematic that ended up in Dubai, the fact that she accessed my credentials after I was fired. They listened. Quiet, polite, stiff, no arguments, no real pushback, until the end. We'll review internally, Goodman said, like he was dismissing a sales pitch. Appreciate your concern. I stared at the screen. That's it? We have protocols. We'll handle it by committee. I didn't say another word, just ended the call. Then I sat in the dark, laptop screen still glowing, folder open, all that evidence just sitting there. And they nodded like I was reading a weather report. Old rage started to churn again, tight in my chest, sharp behind my eyes. I thought I'd buried it after the firing. I thought I'd burned it off, staying up all night cataloging stolen systems and sabotage. But no, there it was again. They still saw me as a relic. Too close, too emotional, too old school. Not fresh energy like Chloe, not shiny and new like Jackson. Just the guy who stayed quiet, kept the wheels turning, and asked for nothing in return. And now that I was trying to raise the alarm, they were patting me on the head and pushing me back out the door. Like I hadn't just handed them the fuse to a ticking bomb. Screw that. I stared at the folder one more time, then minimized it and opened a blank document. They wanted to handle it internally? Fine. But I knew how to make them see it, whether they wanted to or not. I didn't sleep. Again. I stayed up compiling everything. Logs, screenshots, metadata strings, side-by-side timestamps. I labeled every file like a case folder. Breach 1, Payment Trail 3, Chloe Meta FG, Link Access Reactivation Proof. When I finished, I wrote a cover statement, brief, clear, no drama, just facts. I cited the trust clause about system integrity. I included the authorship IDs burned into each schematic. I attached the full list of logistics modules I'd personally developed. 14 systems, over $80 million in protected patents, and every one of them compromised. I submitted it through the trust's internal portal at 3:47 a.m. No emotion, no commentary. Just the truth. Uploaded and locked. By 9:02 a.m., I had a meeting request in my inbox. Subject, emergency session, trust committee status, attendance mandatory. I clicked the link at 10 on the dot. Every square was filled this time. No one ducked out. No one tried to reschedule. Even Goodman sat straight-backed and silent. Alice opened the meeting. Kevin, you have the floor. I nodded and shared my screen. This, I said, pulling up the first log, is a record of unauthorized archive access using a reactivated credential tied to my ID. It happened post-termination. From a foreign IP traced to a Fenton global linked location, I moved to the next slide. Here's Chloe Madsen's public content. This schematic in her video, it matches the file accessed in that breach, down to the embedded authorship ID mine. Ruben squinted. That ID matches the metadata I registered 6 years ago when I submitted the matrix to Keller's patent team. I pulled up the payment flowchart. Chloe's brand partnerships are funded by shell companies. One of them, Kinva Resources, is a registered subsidiary of Fenton Global. They all stared at the screen. No one spoke. I clicked into the next window. System logs show 14 design archives tied to my credentials were accessed during her video shoots. Some were never approved for external use. Some hadn't even been finalized. Alice blinked, stunned. And no one noticed? Because they didn't know what they were looking at, I said. But I did. I clicked again. Now here's the part that matters most. Article 7, subsection B. I highlighted the text. All legacy infrastructure authored under protected trust development is tied to an authorship key. That key is still active. Valerie leaned forward. You mean, I can lock them? I said, all of them. Right now, every route optimizer, every regional load tool, every custom schematic they've touched. I built them, and I still hold the key's silence. Then Ruben asked, would that affect day-to-day operations? I stared straight at him. Not if they stop Chloe and shut down the leaks today. If they don't, the entire global freight backend becomes a legal nightmare. Every dollar tied to stolen systems. Alice folded her arms. Do it, Goodman finally spoke, voice low. We should vote. Fine, I said. But let's be clear. This isn't about me. This is about Keller's backbone being compromised from the inside. You all knew what those systems were worth. Now someone outside does too. Valerie said it first. Yes. Then Ruben. Yes. Alice nodded. Yes. All eyes landed on Goodman. He sighed. Yes. The screen shifted. Vote passed. I opened my admin panel, entered the override passcode, clicked freeze all authored systems. Just like that, Chloe and Jackson were locked out. No more schematics, no more backend access, no more free ride. Alice looked right at me, her face unreadable. Then she said, you just saved the company. I didn't smile. I didn't thank her. I just ended the call. Then I sat back and exhaled. Slow, steady, not done yet, but damn close. By noon the next day, it was everywhere. Breaking, influencer Chloe Madsen under investigation for corporate espionage. The headline was plastered across business feeds, logistics blogs, even damn beauty gossip pages. They had her face front and center, screen capped mid-pose from one of her warehouse videos. Still smiling, still clueless. But her smile didn't last long. Within hours, her videos disappeared. Whole channels wiped clean. One by one, her sponsors dropped her. First the skincare line, then the fitness drink, then that startup app that paid her to post about feminine hustle culture. Gone. All of it. She put out a story post, shaky, makeup-free, eyes red, claiming she was being targeted by internal corporate enemies. Nobody bought it, because the trust didn't just freeze access. They filed formal complaints. Keller's legal team had to start internal damage control, and someone in that chain leaked the first wave of documents, internal memos, payment flags, screenshots of her platform using protected schematics, all laid out like a court case already in progress. And when the press came knocking, guess who stepped up to the mic? Jackson Rourke, gray suit, no tie, standing behind a podium outside Keller HQ like he thought he could spin this into a leadership moment. I watched the whole thing on my laptop, feet up, coffee in hand. We were misled, he said. We acted in good faith based on strategic recommendations and outside talent. He tried to play calm, cool, but he couldn't help himself. Frankly, he said, voice tight, this has all been blown out of proportion. It's a smear campaign being pushed by a disgruntled former employee who couldn't adapt. Then a reporter jumped in. Mr. Rourke, is it true you didn't know about the authorship clause? He froze. Blink swallow. Then, I don't deal with legacy paperwork. That was an operational oversight. They swarmed him. You didn't check the trust clauses. Who authorized archive access? Was the influencer vetted? Why were internal systems exposed to third parties? He cracked, fast, started rambling about old protocols and miscommunication between departments. Tried blaming Chloe, then legal, then poor documentation left behind by my predecessor. I nearly spit out my coffee. Then came the killer. A reporter shouted, "Are you saying Kevin Miller orchestrated this?" Jackson nodded like he'd just solved a riddle. Yes, he manipulated this entire situation. Out of bitterness? That was it. Everyone watching saw it happen live. This smug, clueless puppet admitting he never even understood the systems he was in charge of. He admitted, on camera, that he never read the documents he signed off on. Didn't know about the authorship clause, didn't check legal clearance. Handed over protected designs like they were freebies at a trade show. Careless, clueless, complicit. The press didn't let go after that. Next day, Keller's board issued a statement. Mr. Rourke is no longer employed by the company. No fanfare, no thank you, just gone. Chloe went radio silent, deleted every profile. Press stopped calling her an influencer and started calling her a liability. And me? I watched it all unfold from the same desk they fired me at, same chair, same house, same mug of cold coffee I'd been nursing all week. Only difference was, this time, they knew exactly who I was. 2 weeks later, I walked back through Keller's front doors. No badge this time, no cube, no laminated title stuck outside some half-sized office. They brought me in through the executive entrance and straight into the boardroom. Clean glass, long polished table, same skyline view Jackson used to brag about. Except now, I was at the head. Valerie stood as I entered. "Kevin Miller, welcome back," she said. "You're here as lead, interim innovation team. Full authority. Infrastructure rebuild is yours." I nodded once, sat down. Didn't need a speech. I wasn't here to make friends. The trust had voted unanimous. After everything that burned down, systems frozen, client accounts paused, press breathing down their neck, they needed someone who could rebuild from the ground up. Someone who actually understood the backbone of this company. Not someone fresh, someone real. I laid out the first 3 phases on the whiteboard. Regional node stabilization, archive integrity audit, vendor access resets, no buzzwords, just action. They asked a few questions. Nobody challenged me. When the meeting wrapped, I closed my notebook and checked my phone. One new email. Subject, executive offer. Fenton Global, U.S. from CTO office. I opened it. No games, no backdoor. A direct offer for a senior C-suite position with full relocation and ownership stake. Salary that nearly doubled what Keller ever paid me. I didn't answer. Not yet, but I smiled, because now even Fenton knew who built the damn systems they tried to steal. They weren't offering to poach me. They were offering to pay for respect. That was the difference. I slung my bag over my shoulder, gave Valerie a short nod, and walked out of the boardroom without looking back. Chloe? Gone. Disgraced, deplatformed, buried under legal fire she never saw coming. Jackson? Finished. PR poison. No company would touch him after that press conference meltdown. And me? I didn't just get even. I got free.